Welcome back to Country Basket Weaving. I'm your hostess, Sandy Atkinson. Today we're going to work on the lid from our Joseph sewing basket. Your cut and material pattern is as follows. You'll need 1/2 inch flat, cut 3 pieces that are 25 inches long and 5 pieces at 20 inches long. You're also going to need 1/2 inch flat and 1/4 inch flat. You also need number 3 round, cut 48 pieces, 21 inches long. From number 5 round, you'll need 1 piece at 40 inches long, and you'll need a 3x5 potpourri bag. You also need some number 2 round that's been dyed, 1/4 inch flat dyed, and 1/2 inch flat dyed. I know there's a lot of material in this one. Let's get started with our pattern. Take out your 3 pieces first. I've marked the centers on the wrong side, and we're going to lay them under our spoke weight. I'm going to go in and get my other pieces. I've already got them soaking, so they're nice and pliable. Marked my centers on the wrong side again. Weave the first piece over and under and line it up right here with your center. This one's going to weave just the opposite. And we've got 2 more, 1 on each side. This is a quick layout on this basket on the lid here. And 1 more down here. So I have 2 wove on either side of the center. Now we're going to take our 3/8 inch spacer right here, and we're going to space these starting in the middle, working up and working down, 3/8 of an inch. Take off my spoke weight now, and we'll measure this side. There we go. Go ahead and clip your 4 corners just to keep that spacing from sliding on you. Now we need our dyed number 2 round. Get yourself 2 end lengths, and off center, and crimp it. That helps it bend without breaking. I'm going to turn this around and start right here on this under piece right in the middle. Loop it over there, hold my finger here, take the one on the left and go behind the next spoke. Take your clip off when you come to your corner. This piece on this corner is going over first, then this one's coming from behind. Give it a turn. Here I have an opposite pattern now, an opposite weave if that would slide under there, so I have to take the left one first, then bring the right one over. Continue right on with your weave. This is just plain twine, just twining. Bring this one down and then this one around. I'm going to speed this up just a little. I'll show you my corner. If I went this way, that would be wrong, so I need to take this one around first, the right one around first, then bring the left one over. I need to do 4 rows. I'm going to add a piece. I have a little extra length here, but I don't like to go around the corner because it's too easy for it to pop out. So I'm just going to go ahead and insert a new one there. Watch my corner. Make sure I did it the very same way I did it the first time I went around. And I'm going to twine around. I've saved a lot of my scrap pieces of my dyed reed and made this basket. Don't be afraid to add a lot of different colors to it. Watch your corner. It has to be done the very same way you did it the first time. I need 1 more row. This one up first and then the left one behind. Here again I need to add another piece. Lift this up, creates a hole, keep right on weaving. We'll go back later and do some trimming on this and get rid of these ends that are sticking up. This is where I started, so now I'm beginning my 4th row. And work around. I used a basketry die for this blue here. I believe it was called Country Blue for this color. But I've also used a lot of other dyes. Just be creative. Anything that will stain your hands as you work will dye your reed. Now I'm coming in here and I'm going to cut off these ends and get rid of them. Now we need to upset our basket, bring them in, take your corners and clip up your corners. This one seems like a small basket after working last week on our big Joseph basket. And now you can use any color you want in here. I'm going to do my first row in pink. Happens to be 1/2 inch. You could put in a couple of rows of 1/4 inch if you want. Come in here. I like to come back to my pattern that I started with. This one's under, so I'll start my over here. I'm going to slide it in there, but I am on top here. That's important that you're on top. And you're going to weave this around, over and under, basic pattern. Put your corners back up. Take off your pins as you work around the basket, put them back on. Now, if I haven't made a mistake, I will be over on the same pattern as when I started. I'm going to put a clamp here to hold that. I'm going to come around here. Now, as a rule of thumb, we always go 4, but because this is right on a corner, I'm going to go 1 more, actually 2 more spokes, 1 more, and tuck it in there. Give it a turn, and I'm going to put in another row of color, and here I've chosen a green. Always starting on top. I'm on top over here. This is such a small piece that I'm going to leave my clothespins off on this row. I'm pretty sure it'll hold itself down. Work it over and under. This is the pin I had holding my pink ends. As you work, keep your spokes straight up and down. I'm going to add a clamp there to hold that in. And I'm back to where I started. Straighten up my spokes, make sure they're straight up and down, and overlap 4. And this one worked out. I can do just the 4. Trim it and hide that end under there. Now, take your basket and bend these spokes down. Bend them down and back. Then take it, when you've gone all the way around and done that, we're going to lay it out on the table, and we're going to spread these spokes out. Come in and get your number 2 round that's been dyed. 2 different end lengths with a center crimp. Remember, with your needle nose pliers. Come over here, pick a spot that is under. This is a good one right here. Loop it under here, and we're going to do some twining. Remember, on your twining, you're always taking the left one first, going over the next empty spoke to the right, which would be its neighbor. And we're going to twine around, and we're going to do 2 rows. Twining around, no corners to turn when we go around like this. Not like on your base, so it goes much faster for you. Taking the one on the left and looping it around. Careful you don't leave these too loose. You don't want them real tight because we want our ends to spread, but yet we don't want them real loose either. So watch your tension on your twining. One more row around. I'm into my second row. You don't have to work as fast as I'm working. Take your time and do a nice job. I'm going to need to add a new piece here. I'm going to back up here. Okay, let's take out another piece. Remember how we lift up the piece that ran out, creates a hole, stick in our new piece, and keep right on weaving. Don't pull it too tight at this point or you'll pull it right out. I'm going to have to untangle it. Okay, I want you to do 2 rows. I'm coming up to where I started. This is the one I started my first row on, so I want to stop one behind it. Now take out your number 5 round. I have mine soaking over here. And we're going to create our handle. Come in here at the top and insert one end down through the center and then through the opposite hole here. I'm right in that center piece. Draw it up about halfway, so you have half on each side, and take and tie it like a knot, like you were tying your shoe, and leave about 2 inches in here. Bring this end around and circle it around, bring it in again, but this time go down into your top of your basket. Watch you don't break it with those twists, work those out, and bring it up on the other side like that. Come in here and take this one, and we're going to twist this one around and around here and put it in on this side. Don't pull it too tight. Now you've created a groove where these two have come together. Take this piece and go right in that groove, following it around, going in and out where you need to. One more time. Bring it down and stick it back to the inside. About 3 rows. If you feel like you want more, you have enough length here, you could go on and do another row around. Come to the inside and simply snip these off in here. Okay, and you can discard your waste. Come back here. Now we're going to go in and get our 1/4 inch and our 1/2 inch natural pieces that we have soaking. Come back here and we're going to take this twining right over to the corner, so do a couple more. Insert this 1/2 inch, or pardon me, I'm on the 1/4 inch. Take the 1/4 inch piece, give it the length that you have for the other spoke so that it's equal on either side, and twine that piece in. Twine in the next piece that's laying next to it and give it a little turn. Taking another piece of 1/4 inch, we're going to do the very same thing, inserting it down in here, clipping the length so it's equal to the spokes that we've already put in, and twine that 1/4 inch piece in. Twine in the next one. We have to do this twice more. Insert it down in here. Give it the length it needs. Come in here and twine in the new piece. Twine in the existing piece. One more time. Exactly the same end lengths. Twine in your new piece and twine in the existing piece. Now, very carefully turn it. We're going to have to add another piece of our number 2 round. Again, lifting it up. Keep right on twining. We're going to come to the other side. Then we're going to have to straighten out these ends so that we're catching these ends that are directly opposite of it. Twine in your tail, which is left from your other side. Twine in the existing piece. Line up the next one, which is over here. Here it is. It's underneath my 1/2 inch here. Twine in the new piece. Twine in the existing piece of 1/2 inch that's already there. Pull in your twine. Get it nice and tight in there. This is my next one. No, it isn't. These have crossed, so come inside here and uncross them. Make sure you have directly the opposite piece. Twine in this one and twine in your next one. I'm going to have to take a second here and untangle my reed. It's like braiding hair. It gets tangled when you do it. You need to butt these rows right up to each other. So take a minute, come back and adjust these rows and tighten them up. Now I have all my new pieces twined in except for my 1/2 inch. And what I'm going to do now is add my potpourri bag. I have taken a piece of lacing and I've put in about a 1/3 of a cup, a 1/4 of a cup of potpourri, and I simply glued the edges with my hot glue gun. You could even stitch it up or use any kind of material you want. At this point we're going to slide this potpourri bag down in here, tighten up these, straighten them out, turn it back over. Now we need to add our 1/2 inch piece. We're going to slide this under here, cut off the length so they match again, and go ahead and twine this in. Keep on twining this until you have a total of 7 rows out here. Now I'm going to switch where I have my 7 rows, flatten it out, it's been soaking, and I have to come in here at this point, and I'm going to, at one of my corner spokes, I'm going to come in here and make a split spoke. Split this right down. This gives me an odd number of odd number of spokes, pardon me. Now I'm going to come in here and take some of my 1/4 inch that's been dyed, give it a flat tapered end here, not a flat end, a tapered end. Starting under my split spoke, I'm going to insert that under there and weave this around. This should go fairly fast for you. Make sure the right side of your reed of your 1/4 inch is facing up so you have a nice finish on the outside of your basket. Continue around. You need to weave about 7 rows. And what I want you to do when you get down to about 6 rows is just kind of double check. Let me show you here before I go to the next part. Add this, you're going to push this down in. This is your split spoke. That gets you on the opposite weave, and keep on weaving around. I want to show you how to add a new color. So take out a new color. You're going to need a flat end up here. Come back here and we're going to make sure that this is woven over 4 from where I want to start a new one. So I'm going to cut this one off in here. Come back here, add your new one underneath here to hide that end, weaving right on top of the other color that you're ending. Keep right on going. And just continue weaving this around, adding as many colors as you want. In this one here, I've added some brown and pink, and I even have a row of green snuck under here. As you're weaving it, check it with the top of your basket. You want to weave out approximately 7 rows so that your weaving will end right here at the edge of your inside braid on your basket. When you've woven that out, you're going to have to do 2 rows of twining again. And right here we have 2 rows of twining. Do you see it here? We have to have those 2 rows of twining. When you finish your 2 rows of twining, tip your basket lid over and do your tucking. Remember, all these ends in here need to be tucked. So simply bend them over, tuck them into the weaving on the back side of your basket. When you have that all tucked, let me show you on this one, such as this one. Let me show you exactly what I did here. I've already done these tucks, but I'm going to pull one out and show you. I've simply skipped over my twining here in my first row, bent this down, and tucked it in. And you'll have to do this all the way around the basket. While I have this here too, I'd like to show you that I intentionally left these spaces in here, these gaps, so that this potpourri could be pulled out in a few years and you could replace it with some fresh. Now, we're going to turn it back over. We're inserting all these loops. These are our number 2 round, our lengths. I've left a couple to show you how to insert them. I'm over here on this spot here. We're going to come up here, inserting from the top. I'm working down 2 pieces side by side, inserting it in the same spot here as the row before it, or the 2 before it. Use your knitting needle if you have to. Open this up and come down in here. And the same thing over here. So when you finish up, you'll have 4 spokes coming out of each one of these. I've also left over here, if you've noticed, I have not put in my number 2 round. I skipped a spoke because this is my split spoke and they were so close together there. I'm going to come in here, starting anywhere. We need to spend, before we start that final braid, a little bit of time in lining up these loops. You want them all the same height. You want one just above the other. Make it look like you have 2 there, which you really do. So spend some time going around your basket. If they seem to slide on you, then just put some clips there to hold them until we come around to them. See how these have all lost their line up in here? That's from soaking and from flipping it around. Okay, and then you can just put a clothespin here and hold these together until we get to them. But go around and make sure that they're all the same height. For time's sake, I'm not going to do this for you right now, but you have the idea of getting them all the same. Starting anywhere, you're going to pick up the 4 that come out the same twining in the same spot, line them up so they're side by side. That's important. Line up the next ones and go underneath it and out. Then come in here and pick up the next 4, and you're going to go line them up first and go underneath to the outside. Work this pattern all the way around the basket. Line them up side by side. I know this takes time, but it's well worth it. Time well spent doing a nice job. It really is a beautiful braid, especially when you've got 4 strands here. And everybody thinks you worked so hard at it, which you really did. Work your way around. I'm not going to have time to go all the way around here. I'm going to do a couple more, go back and show you how to do that final step. It just takes time. We'll do one more here and I'll go show you that final step. These need to be adjusted. Be sure and stop once in a while and check your top loops and make sure they're all the same height. Go ahead and finish that braid all the way around. The last 2 that you come to are going to fit up. Pretending like this is my last 2, they're going to fit up right in here. You'll see there'll be 1 hole left for your last 2 to fit right up in there. And again, make sure they're all lined up, side by side. Then starting anywhere for the second step, pick up your 4, go right ahead and pick up these 4 in front of it. It creates a hole right in there, and slide those 4 ends together. If you had a hard time keeping them all straight, you can insert them one by one. So either way, whichever you're comfortable with, you need to line them up side by side. Pick up this one and insert them right down in there. Let me do a couple more for you. Those are not lined up real good. I really need to go back and straighten those up. Let's do another one here. Line up your 4 pieces. Pick up the one in front of it. Creates a hole. You'll see there's a hole just waiting for it. And stick it right down into that hole. Come from the back and give it a pull. Make sure they're lined up. These are not lined up real good on my basket. I need to spend some time, but you make sure yours are side by side. Make sure they're lined up real nicely there. One more time. Line up the 4. Pick up the one in front of it. Creates a hole. Slip the 4 pieces down into that hole to the inside. Come back and straighten out and make sure they're side by side and laid down there nice and flat. When you finish that, tip it over. If you have enough and you want to take the time, go ahead and do the second braid on the bottom, just exactly the same way we did the first braid here, like we did the 2 braids on top of the sewing basket itself. Then come in here and clip off your ends, and it should set very nicely on the top. Of course, this one doesn't, it's not finished, but it should set very nicely on the top, and there you have your Joseph sewing basket. I've really enjoyed making this one. Next week we'll be working on our tote bag. It's called a twill tote bag. I've put in some extra pieces on coloring in here. That'll be an interesting effect I'll teach you next week. I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I enjoyed working on this one. I think you will too.